Okay, that Zoom. Play with this and say. Hare Krishna. We'll proceed through the next part of our satsang program. We'll just sing two mantras and then we'll continue. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to our next series, next session in our Saturday Satsang program. So this is the continuation of the series Gita Rahasyam, the secrets of Bhagavad Gita, started by His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. So from last two sessions, you have been seeing the contents of Gita summarized, or the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You saw the like the first two parts of the session. Now we'll continue with the summary of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So the secrets are summarized into these four letters GITA. That's the acronym given. So the devotees who have been attending, can anyone recollect what this G stands for? Yeah, go on. Wow, amazing. All of you say aloud Hari Bol to, what is your name? Ayan. Say Hari Bol. Yeah, very nice. So, at the end of the first chapter, we saw Arjuna was in, it's called as Arjuna Vishada Yaga, Vishada Yoga, I think. Like it means that, so Arjuna is lamenting, looking at, there is a whole setting of Kurukshetra war, there are armies on the both sides, and Arjuna asked Krishna to draw his chariot between the two armies. And the opening of the second chapter is Arjuna fell into this bewilderment as to what to be done, and he tells this Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha pruchhami tvam dharma sammoda chetaha yasreyaschan nischitam bruhitam me sishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. So as I am nicely told, Arjun asks Krishna that I am completely overwhelmed with this kripana mentality, miserly mentality. So why it is miserly mentality is like miser tries to put all to himself and doesn't donate anything. Like that, when your mind is bewildered, you keep all the negative feelings and also wrong attachments and all illusion within yourself. With that mentality, Arjun was not able to take the next step, and he asks, as a disciple, I am asking you to guide me. So Krishna, in the mood of a spiritual master, continues the next things. So there we saw about the importance of a bona fide spiritual master in anyone's spiritual life. And the next acronym, I. What does I stand for? Go on. Yeah, very nice. Whose identity? Yeah, yes. So this is another very huge secret that is revealed in Gita. That is the identity of a jiva. So many of us has this false identifications with what am I. We keep identifying ourselves with the country of origin or with our name or all the bodily things which we are not. So Krishna gives the signs of soul, like clearly telling like what actually am I. We are not this mundane matter, but this is like we saw the verse Vasamse Jiranani Yatha Vihaya Navate Gurhanati Naroparani, like how we remove one garment and wear another one, like that from one life to another we take off this body and assume another one according to what we'll see in the subsequent chapters, how we'll give next bodies and all. So one thing Krishna dispels illusion is about the identity. The third point is T. Do you remember what T stands for? Two duties. My God, like he is amazing. Yeah. So it's two duties. Very nice, very nice, very nice. So the two duties. So everyone has a dharma. So the entire Mahabharata goes in, weighing down what is the dharmic stance that one can take between Bhishma, Draupadi, Kauravas, Kuruvruddhas, all these. So one thing we saw is there are two duties that every jiva has. One is the constitutional duty and one is conditional duty. One is spiritual swadharma, the innate nature of the every jiva, and another one is the material swadharma. That is the duties that we do to maintain this body and this life. But like how there we have seen in the third point about Krishna goes in Nishkama Karma Yoga. How one can perform duties without being fruitively attached to the duty, not without having a goal. Like many people mistranslate Nishkama Karma Yoga as not to think of any result. But like suppose Anangpure Mataji or Shamala Mataji is cooking now prasadam. Like she took, suppose say Mataji takes one handful of salt and just throw a Nishkama Karma Yoga into the item, will it be good? So having a goal is not wrong, but Nishkama Karma Yoga is not to perform actions expecting that we will enjoy from it. That's the sense gratificator or bhoga vritti that Krishna tells. Like having an enjoyership mentality or whatever I am doing, so I will enjoy with the results of it. That is problematic. But having a goal is not wrong, and that goal should be properly oriented. So at the end of Nishkama Karma Yoga, I think I have this slide. So there is like Krishna says about Bhukti Yukto Jahatita. Okay, that verse is over. The last verse is about usually karma kandis, who are so there is some section of Shastras where by offering some oblations to certain demigods, you can please them and get your wishes fulfilled. So these are karma kandis. So Krishna tells when you are performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, you will not be, that yogi who is situated there will not be deflected by the flowery language of Vedas. That's the last verse Krishna says. And there he says, Samadhav achala buddhis. That is the word Krishna uses. That means that Nishkama Karma Yogi will fix his intelligence and able to execute that stage for sustainably, like throughout his life. So today we are going to speak about such Atma Ram, like one who is fixed in that intelligence and who leads that path and of what Krishna is showing, and that is a self-realized person or Sthita Prajna. So before this I will tell like 2 points. One thing is So there are like whatever the origin that we come from, like say if we are connected to say India, we know that there are so many Vaishnavas in every like language you speak and every condition that you are in. So one of that is like suppose if you are coming from like Maharashtra or so, we have Pundalik where Vitthal and Rakumai pastimes are there, and we have like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees in Bengali and Odisha. And if you come to like Andhra Pradesh or so, there are devotees like Annamacharya or Tyagaraja who wrote kirtans and who led their lives in singing bhajans about the Lord. And like that, if you go into Karnataka, we have like Madhva Sampradaya sannyasis, Vadiraja Tirtha, other like Purandar Das in Udupi. So like that, like we hear nice kirtans and all. And also like in Tamil Nadu, we have like Alvars, Godadevi, all the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharyas who wrote nice kirtans. So wherever you see these Vaishnavas, like Mirabai, for example, like you can see them throughout their life. They were unflinchingly serving Lord without any deviation or distraction. Like Mirabai was a princess. She could like enjoy lavish life after her marriage also, right? So, but like how they are taking this path of constantly, glorifying Lord or executing devotional service, that is a sthita prajna state, like where their mind is or intelligence is constantly fixed into the transcendental intelligence. So how such person will be there, or how the devotees are there, that is today's session. That is the last second chapter Krishna speaks. So just before going into this, so these verses are a little bit heavy, and even for my state, these are very I will try to present what Krishna told and what I heard from the parampara. So the reason why we should hear, though we are not in that stage, is because we will have an a marker as to okay, what is going on, how do I get into that state of pure devotee, or how do I practice these principles and try to implement in our life or practice it in our life. So that is what Krishna is speaking about. So another thing is like if you go to a gym or a diet program, if you want to really take, so how do we really choose a plan? Is like there is by looking at the people who went through that program, and we will be matching whether that outcome matches with ours or not. So that is called as phalena parichayate. So this section is also kind of like that. So Arjuna is a little bit curious and asks, now it will come, about characteristics of such a yogi. Arjuna asks. So this is a glimpse of saying who has a liberated soul, a Jivan Mukta, one who has perfected his life. What are those symptoms? So Arjuna is asking to Krishna after listening to the Tachala Buddhis. So Sthita Pragnasya ka bhasha, Sthita Pragnasya ka bhasha, Samadhistasya kesava, Sthitadhir kim prabhaseta, Kim masita vrajeta kim. That is the question Arjun poses. That is Sthita Pragnasya ka bhasha. Bhasha means usually the way he speaks. But like what it relates to is what are his general symptoms. And kim prabhasheta, how does he speak? On receiving the praise or blame, affection or hate, what will he say externally or internally? Kim asita, how does he sit? How does he restrain his senses from the sense objects? That's what it means. And vrajeta kim, how does he walk? Like how does he respond to the sense objects? So Krishna says the following verses. So like how in our high school or so, if we are given a question, what is evaporation, let us say, then we write like the process of phase transformation from liquid to vapor is called evaporation. Like that Krishna first defines what sthita prajna is. Like prajahati yada kaman sarvan pardha mano gatan atman atmana tushtaha sthita prajnas tadochyate. That's what Krishna tells. What he says is, prajahati yada kaman sarvan pardha mano gatan. O pardha, the desires of sense gratification which are born out of mental concoction, one who gives up that and thus purified in one's mind, like one finds satisfaction in the self alone. Atman yevatmana tushtaha. Sthita prajna sthadochate. He is said to be a Sthita prajna, Krishna tells. So this is the state we are all there. Like our mind, actually when you attend Badrinath Maharaj's Krishna Ram's classes or Bhagavatam classes, Maharaj shows this nice slide where there are horses and there is a charioteer and a person who is sitting in the chariot. So that is the hierarchy that Gita says about these 5 horses are 5 senses. The Sabda, Sparsa, Rasa, Rupa, Gandha. There is like a touch, smell, what is it? Taste, sight, and like touch, something like the Sabda, sound also, like that. So basically with these senses, we try to obtain the knowledge. So these are called knowledge acquiring senses, which are called Gnanendriyas. So the way how this work is, like suppose if there is a robot, so there will be a chip, a microprocessor, then all the servo motors and all will work, and then the corresponding parts will move. Similarly, all the thoughts that we are trying to get through the world, like we see something, we hear something, we try to taste something, all these are actually going inside our mind, and mind acts on the senses. So the right hierarchy is intelligence supposed to guide the mind, and mind will take care of the senses. And when this is right intelligence is guiding this, then the whole hierarchy will be in place, and that's how a pure devotee or a yogi will be there. But the problem is when the mind gets overpowered, then mind has this tendency of running and catching towards things which it's not supposed to do. Like it's supposed to, it catches about the things you did, I could have done that, I could have done this, and this maybe it will happen, this one will happen, that one will happen. Like of the anxieties of future and worries of the past, all these things it tries to catch and hold it. So that is what mind says. That is why our acharyas have given us the mantra meditation. Mantra means manha trayate iti mantra. What all mind catches and keep it to itself, when you chant your mantra, then immediately it delivers, so it leaves it. So that is why, like when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you can immediately see that result when you are chanting very attentively, slowly and absorptive way. So the reason is this. Mind keeps catching. Like you might think, okay, this is a small thought and it's a worry that I can have. Like there is one brahmachari who gives this example. Like suppose there is this kartal is there. Say I ask you to hold it. You can hold it for a while. But if I ask you to hold it for 1 hour or 2 hours like this, so your arms starts paining, right? It's the same thing. Mind keeps storing all these things which is supposed to be left, and that is how mantra actually helps. So Sthita Prajna is who gives up these material desires, who doesn't run after this rat race of the hankerings or like the temptations that mind gives. That is a Sthita Prajna. How he will be able to do it, we'll say. And here Atman Evatmana Tushtaha is used. So what is that being satisfied in the self is understanding the relationship between self, like Jiva, unto the Paramatma. So there that satisfaction and that happiness and that reciprocation one can feel. So it is given as his qualities that especially benefit his devotees, benefits of connecting our activities to Krishna and offering our fruits to Krishna, his special favor to his devotees, his compassionate glance upon his devotees. Krishna takes personal interest in his devotees' life. So these are the relationships. If you understand, then you will be safely situated. So there is some that is what a difference between a Nishkama Karma Yogi and a Bhakti Yogi. In a perfected Buddhi Yogi, so Nishkama Karma Yogi, this is written by, is taken from Ramanujacharya's writings also. So Nishkama Karma Yoga is the acts of one in Nishkama Karma Yoga are generally initiated by some kind of attachment, which is then purified by offering fruits to Krishna. So actually the perfected Buddhi Yogi acts in loving relationship with Krishna. That is what the difference is. And there are so many pastimes where Krishna reciprocates that love. So as the next question as to Arjuna asked, how does he speak? So the actual meaning of this is, how does his intelligence and words respond to affection, anger and neutrality? Usually we are very much shaken up by this. Like suppose if you are receiving a lot of praise, we'll feel so happy. But like if someone gives a very strong feedback, we'll be somewhat disturbed. It's the same thing. So, if expectations are matching, we'll be happy. If it's not matching, then we'll be disturbed. So Krishna tells about how does he speak. This is the 256 very nice verse. Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha sukeshu vigata spruhaha vitaraga bhayakroda stitadhir muni ruchyate. Krishna tells Stitadhir Muni, once the Muni whose intelligence is very fixed, how does he speak, like how does he respond to the situations is Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha. He will not be disturbed by like material distress that is happening. He will understand that, okay, this is happening by proper knowledge that he obtains through Gita. He understands that whatever he is facing is actually that cycles of karma that are going on. That Lord is, giving something, that whatever the past misdeed I did, I am suffering with that. This will pass away. With that hope, he will be there. So Dukkeshu anudvignamana, he will be equipoised. And Sukeshu vigata spruhaha. And other side, if he gets, like according to his past, good karma or something which is happening very good, he won't be like completely forgetting about this thing, and people go mad. Like you can see this in very rich people or people who are affluent, who is getting sudden fame and all. They are prone to this downward spiral of breaking 4 regulative principles and so on. So that is actually you are getting attached to that success. But Stitadhir Muni will not do that also. So Dukkeshu anudvigna manaha sukeshu vigata spruhaha vita, giving up, raga bhaya krodha means attachment, anxiety and fear. So who will walk in this world? They are called Stitadhir Muni. And so here in one of the in purport Srila Prabhupada also mentions. So there are symptoms of rich man and deceased man, learned man. So many symptoms are there. So the most important symptom is how this Stitadhir Muni speaks. So speech is the most important quality of any man. And also immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is he speaks only of Krishna or of matters relating to him. So that is the austerity of the speech that a Stitadhir Muni speaks. So many of the people who speaks about, like we saw this in COVID, people like when you speak with my parents or in relatives, they show some scrollings. There is actually something is there. Of course, there is a distress, but like people over amplify that by constantly worrying about it, by speaking about it and so on. In the terms of the sudden distress and all, one should try to put that speech towards Krishna or matters relating to him. That's why we have these nice verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. When we are really distressed, like there are so many beautiful pastimes that we can really, chant and get some sukoon, like in terms of, peace and tranquility one can obtain. Yeah, so there are these verses of Brahma. Tatteno kampam susamikshamaano bhunjana yevatma kritam vipakam hridvak vapurbhir vidadhan namaste jiveta yo mukti padeva sadaya bhak. This is one of the verses Brahma offers. So tatte anukampan. So those who are waiting for your mercy, and bhunjana, taking in, yevatma kritam vipakam. There are some past misdeeds we did, probably not in this life, which are coming for us from previous lives. So those who, that distress is really changing our life, it's affecting us to our core, but you should realize that is actually a loving reciprocation of Krishna to purify ourselves. So that is a state of a Stitadhir Muni. So Brahma says, Evana Bhunjana Evatma Kritam Vipakam Hridvak Vapuhu. Means through heart and through speech and through their actions, through their services also to the best extent they can. Hridvak Vapurbhir Vidadan Namaste. They are offering oblations to you. So how do you offer oblations with body? You actually offer dandavats, or you do some service to the temple. That is how you are reciprocating that love while taking in the reactions that you are facing. And so Brahma tells, these devotees who are waiting for this condition-less, causeless mercy of yours while taking in all your reactions, is eligible for liberation. That means they are definitely eligible for going back to Godhead and obtaining mercy. I will tell at the end like how mercy is very important. So while controlling senses, Krishna tells when this Stitadir Muni is there, so he is acting in this world, but there are senses, right? He cannot completely withdraw his senses. So how does a Stitadir Muni acts? That reference is given in terms of this tortoise analogy. Everyone can repeat after me because verse is there. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvasaha indriyani indriyardebhyas tasya prajna pratishtita. So Arjuna asked like how is their intelligence fixed? Krishna is telling these verses how their intelligence is fixed. So yada samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvasaha. Like here there is a example of a tortoise. If you see tortoise, you always see tortoise going on. Like in water or so slowly or so it keeps swimming, and so that's how a devotee travels through this world. But when there is a temptation from a sense object that it is not advisable to enjoy, then immediately he'll withdraw his limbs, he'll withdraw his senses as a tortoise withdraw its limbs. So like that, see, whenever there is an animal that is coming, like say any harmful animal that is coming close by, a tortoise immediately goes into its shell, and that shell is very hard rock, so it is defensive. That's how a devotee also will be there. Like we traverse through the world or something, then there is a billboard which is very inappropriate, or there is a temptation from your co-worker which is encouraging you to break your four regulative principle. Immediately remember this and try to withdraw your limbs, because that's not an advisable thing to do so. Any of the four regulative principles if you break, so they actually are the four pillars of the sinful life. So the four regulative principles are no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no meat eating. So these actually form as the pillars of the sinful life. What happens if you keep committing sins? Are like they form like an obstacle for us to perform devotional activity. So you see people who are affluent, some people, like if you just listen one verse or one kirtan, immediately they take up to the process of devotional service and they execute. But there are some people, it never gets to them, like what is the service about, what Krishna is about. It is because of they have these mountains of prarabdha karma or the sanchita karma that is there. Even we too have it. But by participating in the activities, these mountains of sins keeps burning away. But there is another special thing that Harinam will give. It actually not only just removes the sins, but it actually removes the propensity of committing sin. So that desire of sense gratification or the desire of falling down through this downward spiral, that will be burnt. So that Krishna will tell. So the conclusion is from this verse is that the Stitadir Muni will be equipoised, he is free from attachment, fear and anger, and also like how does he sit? He uses his senses only for Krishna's service. That's how he restrains his senses. So the tortoise and devotee, when you saw like how it withdraws its senses, but like when there is when should you release that senses is when you are in connection with Krishna. So when you are coming to the temple, then you can speak very happily about Krishna. You can open your sense of ear and hear about the glories of the Lord that monks give and do services that please Krishna. So that is how an exalted devotee will be there. So there is another very big secret that we can get from Bhagavad Gita that Krishna gives here. So that is, there are many yogis that we know like Aghori Babas or Yogi Babas or so on, who completely removes themselves from the society and lives into a distant cave and so on. So is that an advisable thing to do so? Like completely removing ourselves and going to the seclusion practicing yogi. So Krishna tells, how can one not be vulnerable towards this material sense temptation? That is this beautiful verse. You can repeat after me. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So Krishna tells, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha. Even if you are forcefully removing your senses and you are restraining it forcefully, then the propensity of the temptation will be there. That will not be gone. But how can you overcome it is by param drishtva nivartate, by engaging it in higher taste. So constantly thinking of, I will not break this regulative principle, that regulative principle, that is actually a negative thought that we are having. As soon as some environmental perturbation happens and there are some weak moments, we will be prone to commit or prone to break it. So the way to enforce it is to replace it with higher taste. That is, if you are used to having meat eating, then if you are constantly taking nicely cooked sumptuous Krishna prasadam that you will take now in like 10 minutes or so, so then that propensity of committing that regulative principle will be taken care of. It's the same thing. Like if you are constantly watching some Bollywood movies or so, when you are hearing about nice pastimes of the Lord, then that propensity of doing that will decrease. It's same with the 4 regulative principles. So that is the formula that Krishna gives. And that is why you see many yogis like Vishwamitra and all, with the slight temptation from Menaka, he stops his tapasya and begets a kid. What is her name? Shakuntala. So Shakuntala is daughter, I think. So like that means he even the exalted sages like Vishwamitra also are prone to this temptation. But if you see devotees like Narada Muni and all, they are very happily, undisturbedly carrying on their devotional service. The only formula is param drishtva. If you are engaged in the higher taste, then you are not prone to this downfall. And even Krishna tells, if you are having any misconception of trying to win the senses by strong tapasya and all, Krishna is telling this axiomatic truth that they will be overpowering you. By any other means. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipasyataha indriyani pramadhini haranti prashabham manaha. So if you are forcibly trying to control the senses, then you are prone to downfall because senses are that powerful. Like in another time I will tell the story of Vishwamitra. That is one pastime where we can see Vishwamitra does like thousands of years of tapasya. Then one like flicker of anger he comes and all the pious credits will be destroyed. Again he goes to north, west, east, south. At the end, in the middle of this scorching summer sun, he will put like fire and he's almost it's like extreme tapasya he does. Still he won't get. When he takes in that Vaishnava quality of humility and beg the forgiveness from Agastya Muni, and then he will be liberated to a Brahmarshi phase. So by force we cannot control the senses, and we should not be stupid enough to think that okay, I can do it by my own I will try to do it like a strong tapasya and all. We should not do, because that's a formula for the downfall. So we should try to constantly engage in the higher taste. So sense control is possible only by the devotion to Lord Krishna. Tani sarvani samyamya. I will tell this one small pastime. You can remember this verse. I remembered like that. So there is a story of a Bakasur in Mahabharata. So Bakasur is this big demon who comes and attacks villages and used to eat people. So he's a Rakshasa. So the people of these villages got very disturbed because they don't know when they are being attacked from and who is going to be killed. So by accepting this is unavoidable, we can't defeat him. So let's do one thing. And then what he tells is, they all go to the Bakasur and tells, Bakasur, you don't come and fall on our villages. You happily take rest in this forest. Every day we send a nicely cooked feast to you, and then from every house we'll send one person for your snack. So that's the agreement they came from. So the twist in the story is Bhima and the Pandavas comes and stays in one of the Brahmana's house, whose turn was that day. Like they have to supposed to be sending their son or so on, but Bhima goes in the place of them, and Bhima enters the cart and he'll be happily eating, and then that cart will be going towards Bakasur. So Bakasur gets extremely angry seeing Bhima consuming all the eatables. So he tries to come and kick Bhima. Then Bhima hits one punch and Bakasur will be flown away. And again, by the time he comes back, he'll be eating and he gets more strength and again he punches. So that is how a devotee will be in this. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha. So how a devotee acts is yukta asita matparaha. Yukta asita means in connection unto Krishna. One performs actions, one performs services. All his interests are dovetailed. Yuktasya means to connect with Krishna. That is the eating part where we gain the strength. Then Tani Sarvani Samyamya is the kicking part. When these temptations are there, that power of sense control comes from our attachment towards Krishna conscious activities. That is what Krishna tells. Tani Sarvani Samyamya Yukta Asita Matparaha Vase Yasyendriyani. That's how the sense control happens. Tasya Pragna Pratisthita. That's how a Sthitadir Muni fixes his intelligence in this path. So, like Prabhupada writes a detailed description about Matpara devotees who are pure devotees. So, and also in this verse there is a beautiful section here where Krishna warns, what if you are not controlling your senses? So you can, I will tell you one hierarchy, Dhyayata Vishan Vamsa. So that is what this hierarchy is. I'm sorry, it's not so clear. So you can actually visualize what happened to this from Ravana's example. So Ravana, he did not actually see Sita yet. So when he got this, impulse to go after Sita, he never saw Sita. So Surpanaka, who goes and meddle with Ram's business, gets her nose and ears cut by Lakshmana, and out of that anger that her thing did not satisfy, she comes to Ravana and describes Sita, every word to word about how Sita looks. So Ravana actually heard about Sita and developed a strong sense of lust. So what happens if you let your senses to go and enjoy? This is the downfall one. Even an exalted Brahmana like, who is very tapo yogi like Ravana also falls down. That is the hierarchy that Krishna gives. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate. So dhyayato vishayan pumsaha, when you are meditating, contemplating on the sense objects, sangasteshu pajayate, strong sense of attachment happens. Sangat sanjayate kamaha, that attachment leads to lust. Kamat krodho vijayate, if that lust is not fulfilled, you will develop anger. Kamat krodho vijayate, krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammoha means complete delusion comes out of that anger. Sammoha smriti vibhramaha, you get the bewilderment of memory. Smriti bhramsat buddhinaso, with that you lose your intelligence. Buddhinasat pranasyati, once that intelligence is lost, you will be falling down again into this material pool, into downward spiral, into these ghastly forms of life where you prone more and more suffering. So the formula here is to avoid this downfall is to cut at contemplation sense. So we are human beings, yes, we are traversing through this strong Maya world. So there are some things which will lead us to our temptations and all, but rather than leading to the contemplation and going downward spiral, we should cut it at the thought phase itself. Don't contemplate it. The best way is to chant. When you are having anxiety or when you are having these strong temptations, just sit and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then as I said, immediately mind leaves it. So Manah Trayate iti mantra. That's how we should take the shelter of holy name to constantly be in this Sthita Prajna stage. To keep our intelligence fixed. So that is what the description of Yukta Vairagya is spoken. So Vairagya means to give up the things. So there is by falsely, Falgu Vairagya means you are like, oh, I will not wear clothes, I will not wear anything. So this is called as you give a strong sense of detachment. Some people do that, but it's not advised. No, you don't need to do that. Why? Because even if you are doing Falgu Vairagya, when you are trying to give up artificially, there is a sense of false ego there. Like suppose if I take Rup Manohar Prabhu's or Shraddha Prabhu's phone and I told I'm not interested in this phone and I gave to someone else. I'm not supposed to do that because it's not my property. It's the same thing. All the material energy, like as I said, Vishnu Sahasranam, the 998 names which comes are actually purport of the first two names. Visvam, Vishnu, Vashatkara, how it goes. The first two names are Visvam, Vishnu. The whole universe is Vishnu. All pervading form of Vishnu. So all the energy that is there, it's either material energy of Lord or direct energy of the Lord, or whatever it is, we can use it to serve Krishna. That's what devotees do. When I first went to Pandharpur, I saw Radhesham Prabhu sitting with a laptop. He's a monk wearing saffron devotees and all, wearing saffron dress, and he's actually showing the slides of like there was a camp that we went to. So I was so surprised how I saw laptops, I saw monks, but I never saw both of them together. So this is the concept of Yukta Vairagya. It's not like you are giving up things, but you are engaging all the energies into the service of the Lord. So that is what is said in this last verse. And up to now Krishna told about the fault of accepting sense objects and proning to the sense temptation. But Krishna now tells that it's not fault to accept the sense objects if it is done with the controlled senses. So that is what he tells. So we have to eat to live. It's the same way we have to work to maintain the body. You will see it in the next session, because we'll go into the Karma Yoga, Gauranga Prabhu tells. And we have to do certain activities. We can't completely refrain from it. So how is the best way to perform that? Is prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. That means Krishna tells that's why when the devotees cook, they offer it to Lord and they take the remnants from the Lord. So whatever you are doing, you offer the results to Krishna, and whatever comes as the consequence of it, you take it. So that is how you engage your senses while living in this life. So prasade, by that mercy of the Lord, sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate. All this misery that is arising by contemplation of sense objects and their reactions will be taken away from prasadam. And prasanna chetaso, your intelligence is so peacefully situated, and buddhi paryavatishthate. That's how your intelligence is constantly fixed in this transcendental intelligence. And there is a beautiful sloka here. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana. Those people who will not be fixing or connecting their activities to Krishna, that is yuktasya. Ayuktasya means that their intelligence which is not connected. Nachayuktasya bhavana. Nacha bhavayata shantir ashantasya kutam sukham. Because their intelligence, their activities are not connected to Krishna, their intelligence and mind are not purified. So they are prone to these dictations of mind. Nacha bhavyataha shantir. Once mind is not controlled, that's what we are looking at Arjuna. The most competent archer on the planet, with the most powerful weapons he has, like Gandiva bow, with the most powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead as his charioteer, and with the most powerful Hanuman on his flagstaff. All the favorable conditions are there, but he is unable to catch and fight. It's because his mind is not controlled, because it is running here and there and he is letting it run without taking the intelligence. And that is how you will not get shanti if you let your mind waver here and there. And ashantasya kuta sukham. Without having peace, how will you get happiness? That's what Krishna tells. So the summary here is that we have to take that strength by connecting our activities to Krishna to the best extent as possible. So what happens one who traverses through this life with these Sthita Prajna activities is that there is a 71st verse. One who constantly try to practice in their life, spiritual life, and live like that. That higher stage, what happens is Vihaya kamanya sarva pumams charati nispruhaha nirmamaha nirahankaraha sashantimadi gacchati. Krishna tells first time about peace. How do you get actual peace while traversing in this world? Vihaya sarva kamanya sarva. So those pumams, those living beings who are giving up all these desires of sense gratification And nispruha, they are not attached to the fruitive mentality of their actions and are constantly connecting their activities towards Krishna and doing Krishna consciousness activities, and by constantly engaging in the activities of devotional service with nirmamaha, without any false sense of attachment, nirahankaraha, without false prestige also. Sometimes we will be very good at our devotional services, that sometimes pride comes in. So even we should not be nirahankaraha, and you should not be attached also. Like I know a devotee who is to do some hosting or something like that in the temple, and when he is asked, Prabhu, don't do that, then he got super disturbed. That is a wrong sense of attachment. You are trying to serve Lord. So whatever the feedback comes, you should take peacefully. Nirmamo nirhankaraha, when you traverse like this in our lives, sashanti madhigacchati, one attains peace. There is also another peace formula Krishna tells after a few chapters. That is bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheswaram suhrudam sarvabhutanam gnatvam mam shantim ruchati. So he tells bhoktanaram yajna tapasam. So one who realizes that I am the supreme bhokta, whatever we do, yes, there is some proportion, according to the proportion of whatever we desire, we get that thing. We should take it as a prasada, the mercy of the Lord. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram, one who realizes that Krishna is the supreme controller and supreme enjoyer. And suhurdam sarvabhutanam, sometimes when we are completely disturbed, we feel all alone in life, though there are people surrounding us. But one should realize that suhurdam sarvabhutanam, what all are happening to us are actually the loving relationship with Krishna. Krishna is reciprocating with every jiva through some loving relationship, and that is what the process we are prone to. And we should realize that he is suhurdam. He is the best friend, ever well-wisher to every living being. Who realizes these three things, he will be very peacefully situated. That's what it is. So that's what today's session is. So this is the conclusion of second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Next session we will see chapter 3, Karma Yoga. So Gauranga Prabhu will give. Thank you. Hare Krishna. If anyone has any questions or comments, you can say. Jai. So there is prasadam being served. Yeah.
Last session at 8:15 and 8:15 to 8:30. And meanwhile, you can go out and take prasad.
Jai. If anyone has to say anything also, I am here. You can ask me also. Yeah.
Where are the slides?
Yeah, I can give you, Mataji. I'll give you. Please give me your email. Yeah, I'll give. I have those slides. I can share with you. Or you can, if you message also, Tapas Prabhu can share. I'll share to Tapas Prabhu also. Like if you see in the YouTube channel or anywhere, if you are in, yeah, you can do that also. But you have my number, right? You can, yeah, you can give me. I'll send you.
Very, very nice and informative session.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thanks for nice tabla, Mata.
What is the fourth pillar of?
So it's meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. Gambling is also a very big thing. Yeah. So there is a
Intoxication, but how much is the limit of the intoxication?
intoxication also is very. So the thing is,
Right? I mean, if you
speak on the mic. People are on the Zoom; they can't hear. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So I don't know. I mean, we all do a little bit of intoxication right here, or
Here,
huh?
like in terms of what you're saying,
Like what is intoxication?
like alcohol or anything, any urges that you are putting on your body, tea, coffee, chai, all these are also intoxication. According to Ayurveda, we are not supposed to put any urge on your natural process of the body. And alcohol is one of the Panchamahapatak. So we are actually getting so much suffering if you consume alcohol, according to Shastras. So that is intoxication. Drugs or whatever the things that they take.
Right.
Yeah, just they think that it will alleviate your suffering temporarily, but actually it goes into more and more harmful form of being. Yeah.
Right. No, when the thought process of consuming like tea, right? It's not like I'm addicted to it, but it's just I in the morning, something hot I want to take.
Yeah,
so even that
there
will
are some herbal options, lemon ginger you can make and drink.
Oh.
But this is like strong nicotine wala tea, where you want that kick and all, right? So the reason why it is said is coffee and tea are natural laxatives, and there are like you get like this high and you can focus it and all that things. So these are not natural. So when you are prone to relying on these unnatural things, it's not advised. It puts an extra things to the body. So that's why even many people say I do it because I have constipation problem or so on. But according to Ayurveda, coffee is also not, you should not take. There are natural urges. There are some urges which you are supposed to control, but the nature calls and all which you are not supposed to control. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Jai. Yeah. Thank you so much. So that is what. And gambling also. Many people play these long odds games with like rolling over their 401ks and putting into this high risk. That is also gambling. Why gambling is restricted is because people get the thoughts of suicidalness because of the uncertainty that they are putting on themselves because of this excessive greed. That is why it's advisable not to do high gambling and all. And the Shastric Praman why this 4 came is in the beginning of Kali Yuga, when Kali Purush is running here and there. So the sire of Pandavas is Uttara's and Arjuna's Abhimanyu's son. Uttara's and Abhimanyu's son, who is Parikshit Maharaj. So he goes and tries to kill Kali. But Kali says, it's my dharma, I have to follow. Give me 4 places to reside in Kali Yuga. So these are the 4 places that are given to Kali Purush. So like Stri, Judam means illicit sex, and Judam means gambling, and this Surapanam means alcohol intake, and meat eating also. Meat eating makes you more and more aggressive, and animals you are eating in terms of flight or fight mode, which is either Rajasic or Tamogunic, which you should avoid. You will see in the later chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna goes into more details according to what you should do, what you should not do.
Okay.
So this is like a overall he gives in 2nd chapter. From next chapter, Arjuna asks more and more finer details about what is this and all that. Next session you say about Karma Yoga also.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. They can't hear in online. It's okay, take. They can't hear question, that's the thing. Sugar. So the thing is, yeah, you have to take sattvic intake. The details are all there, but there are some things which you should immediately avoid. Yeah, that also comes. That's why brahmacharis don't eat a lot of sugar. They try to avoid it, especially at the night times. There are some sadhus diet will be there. Yeah, and actually there are more details to it. One should eat which is very peaceful and which is very happily, means it will comfortably digest also. We should actually add it. Because imagine you sit for chanting, but good, it is there. You eat excessive spice food and all that. You do a yogic process. So even on the bodily level, you should be cognizant of what you are consuming and all. That's why sattvic. Actually, Prabhupada writes in one of the purport: if you eat sattvic prasad, your fibers in your tissue, that nerve fibers and all, Shastra says that your memory power also gets increased. Yeah. That's what you should be cognizant of how much you are taking in. Yeah, that self-control you should put, yeah. 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 About makhan and all. Yeah, that's what. So whatever we are consuming, we should see whatever is good, suitable for us to practice comfortably. Which should not agitate us too much, like excessive spicy foods or so we should not do. Thanks, Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.